James has the most incredible product to help with detoxification, with also helping the biodome to come back into perfect balance. So please share with us, James, what your product's called and what it does.
My product is called Elite Potion. We call it Elite Potion because it's a stab at the elites. Okay. They're taking this product by themselves to stop the conditions of the fourth industrial revolution. I found out that in the 1920s, Rockefeller started feeding us crude oil. That is medicine, crude oil. And it turns your stomach biome upside down. And therefore, your stomach now is producing a different type of acid. This is why people are getting heartburn. This is why people are getting IBS, all kinds of problems that never existed before we started eating plastic. So I did some research and found out that not only that, but there are things that the stomach is allowing through the bloodstream. And one just so happens to be heavy metals. And these little heavy metals, they're tiny. And if you look at like mercury, you see it looks like a liquid. But if you look at really, really fine, they're little tiny, tiny little pieces of metal. And they cut your vessels inside your stomach. And I also researched that there are parasites that we normally eat through salads, through meats, through all kinds of diets. We eat a equivalent of millions, if not billions, of parasites on a daily basis. And our stomachs used to be able to kill the parasites and move through. We would actually eat the nutrients from the parasites itself. So what happened was our stomachs went upside down. They allowed the heavy metals through to start cutting the little veins in our stomachs, and the parasites are getting through. And this is what I do believe is causing some of the most worst diseases of the 20th century, 21st century. And so when I started giving this product to people, and when I came up with it and I invested my own money into it, people started to change. They started to be happier, started getting healthy. There's a guy who lives next to me. I gave him the product, and he had stage 4 cancer and terminal, and now he's up and running, and now he's getting ready to go mountain biking.
I have a wonderful guest today, all the way from America, and his name is James Carner, and quite a character, I can see. And James, I'm really excited to share with the audience what you've been doing. So, you're somebody who has made a difference. You've been proactive. You've had a problem that has come into your life, and then you have gone about finding a solution for that problem, and then you've offered it to other people so it can help them. Now,
Hmm.
what I'm calling on my audience today to do is to really support what you've been doing, because um you know you've taken the action to make that difference, and now you've created a business, and you love people to support that business. And it is challenging times for businesses at the moment, as we know, worldwide. And so my call to my viewers today is to, if this resonates with you, this product, please, I'd love you to support what James is doing in any way that you can. So James, I'd love to hear about everything you've been doing. You've also been a truth speaker, a freedom activist. You've got your own channel on YouTube, which I'll also share in the links below. And you've been busy making a lot of videos. So just tell us a little bit about yourself to start with, James.
Well, when I got into radio back in the late 90s, I was a producer and publicist for an AM talk show, and our job was to set the record straight on the death of personal accountability. And this is right when the internet was coming into play. And my job was to make sure that I had enough information on the show to keep the host or the talent completely busy and have entertaining things to talk about. And the one thing I noticed was in the newsroom, which we shared with other radio stations, right? They would always go to the newsroom and pull information off of a printer that was coming directly from the Associated Press. Now, the Associated Press is London based. And this is where all the world news gets their news, is directly from London. And at the time, I was just a young 22-year-old. I didn't know what this really meant, but it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, Associated Press is not an American press. Why are we pulling, news off of this thing that's reporting in its real time and then just basically just mouthing what they want us to say?
Exactly.
And it reminded me of the movie with Robin Williams, where he was a disc jockey for the military. Forgot the name of the movie, forgive me. But the premise of it was Good Morning Vietnam. That's what it was
Yes.
called.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the premise of the movie was he was getting information from daily what was happening in the military to report to the soldiers what's going on in the war. But they were pulling it before, after it got off of the printing press, they were telling him what he could and couldn't say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, And I kind of made a connection there. And I'm like, okay, obviously, all of the information we're getting in America is from London. London's controlling America, period.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the media and I have to report everything that comes from the Associated Press. And that's when I just lost it. Okay. That's when I had my breakdown in the system where I'm like, you know what, this is in the late 90s. I mean, I came out way before many, where COVID, finally woke them up, or 9/11 finally woke them up. But for me, I was awoke right before 9/11. And I started my journey of trying to figure out, well, okay, if we are controlled by London, who's at the top? Who's working with who owns what, where, and why? And over all of these years, I've been able to put together enough documentation to support my views on who is actually taking over the world, who's in control now, which families, et cetera, from the 13 black nobilities, including the Rothschilds, who are separate but still a big powerhouse. They're the financial purse of the entire world. And then use that to try to give people an idea as to what's happening in the future, because that's really what I wanted to know. Because is America going to be the same? Are we gonna lose our country? And so I've been fighting to try to show people the truth of that. And along this journey, and I've developed from just working for a radio to working in the software industry, where I also saw a lot of new movements were happening where data was being suppressed. So I was working for software companies, and I ended up working for a marketing division for an email marketing company. And I could see how certain information would go through email channels and certain information would not. It would be blocked, especially worldwide if you're doing email marketing. And then I found a company, I'm not going to name their name, but they're the ones that stop you from sending bulk email. And if you sent too much, according to them, they felt like it was spam, they would shut you down. And how they would do that was they would threaten your host by basically telling your host they're going to blacklist all of their IP addresses. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, how can a company like that have so much power? And I started doing my research and I started finding out who's working with who. And that's when I knew that we live in a control grid. Mm. And there's nothing I could do other than spread awareness and try to get people to understand. And in between then, I had a son who is now 17 years old. He's deaf, he's autistic, and he suffers right now from self-injurious behavior. Now, I've heard this is pretty common in male autistics on the lower spectrum, but I didn't expect it to happen in our family because our son was high energy, but he wasn't, self-injurious. And when it started 3 years ago, I just went on a rampage. I went through the stages of grief. Watching your own child harm themselves in front of you all day long is probably worse than hell itself, because your hands are tied. There's nothing you can do, and nobody can help you because they don't even know what to do. You can't just go to the doctors, they don't know.
No.
So I started researching, trying to figure out, okay, what's the cause? And while I was doing this, I came up with a show called Cause Before Symptom. And because I'm not interested in symptoms. If we talk about cancer, and we talk about the symptoms, we're talking about chemotherapy. We're talking about, death. We're talking about, hundreds of millions of people suffering from cancer on a daily basis worldwide. Symptom, symptom, symptom. I just wanted to find out the cause.
Yeah.
And I was also concerned about the chemtrailing,
Mm.
the spraying in the skies. And I've noticed that since 1995. And all the years I've done research, all the seminars I've been to, because I went to Northern California, Sacramento, to the Dane Wigington uh, 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 Geoengineering Watch
Right.
seminar, and I was convinced they had a panel of experts, of doctors,
James,
of
can I
yeah,
say that I just watched
please.
a video that there was someone at Woodstock talking about how they were doing geoengineering in the sky way back then, and there was all this rain trying to get people to, break up and go home, and
Right.
he was talking about, oh, we need to talk about geoengineering. This was at Woodstock, so there was an awareness back then that they were doing it there.
Yeah, cloud seeding is one thing, but controlling the weather, it's different. The types of machinery that they have is beyond just HARP in Alaska, which is it's an acronym. I forgot, high something amplitude, blah blah blah. But what they do is they push the ionosphere up, and then they point energy to hit the ionosphere and point down, and they're able to heat certain places of the area or cool certain places of the area. And then with these Doppler radar stations they have, they can push weather patterns and make certain things where they want it to go. So they can steer hurricanes, they can steer tornadoes, they can create earthquakes now. There's all kinds of things that they can do.
I must say, where I live here, I was just talking to the owner. I haven't lived in this specific town too long, but the owner
Hmm.
who's lived here for years and years and years of the place. So I'm living in a park at the McCaravan Park where I'm doing caretaking. He
Hmm.
said that they are. There's more rain now than ever before. So he is blown away by how much rain they've had at the minute. So it's not natural levels of rain
No.
that are happening here right now. So I can just speak to that myself.
Right. Well, in 1999, the Air Force released a document on AOL News Channel. This is back then. AOL is still pretty popular, and the report was that the U.S. The Navy was going to own the weather by the year 2024
Yeah.
and or 2025, and that has been taken off. I can't find that article anywhere anymore, but I remember reporting it on the AM talk show when I was a producer and publicist. And I thought, how can you control the weather? That's bizarre. But throughout all of the years, I've done my research and I found the types of weaponry that they use, especially directed energy weapons, where they can not only just use airplanes to direct weather, they use the airplanes to not only seed clouds, but to push weather through all kinds of directed energy weapons. It is absolutely insane what they're doing.
And to take
And
people out with the direct energy weapons. I had a friend who is a major activist and she was hit with one. And I sent her a whole lot of remedies and like nanosoma and things like that. And she said that it just managed to save her life. She nearly died.
oh my gosh.
Mm, mm.
Well, the amount of metals that they spray into our atmosphere is beyond alarming. Dane Wigington of Geoengineering Watch has mentioned that if we don't stop this by the year 2030, it's going to be almost impossible to plant any organic seed because our soils are too saturated with heavy metals. And it just, ironically, Monsanto, who's owned by Bayer, now has seeds that can grow in heavy metal soils. So it's obvious that this is used for money, but that's again a symptom, the love of money.
Well, can I
That's a
say
symptom. Please.
absolutely? Dr. Brian Ardis mentioned that they're actually putting um, snake venom in a lot of the
Vaccines.
seeds now, a lot of the seeds,
Hmm.
because their way of trying to justify that is that it stops the bugs, it prevents bugs. But then,
Right.
of course, you've got this going into our bodies as well. So, this is their justification for putting that in the seeds of fruit and vegetables and just stuff that's been growing in America. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, why would they put a poison inside, our food? Why, and of all things, why snake venom?
Exactly,
It
exactly.
doesn't make any sense. Well, you can take the spiritual route on that. You can take the conspiracy route on that. But at the end of the day, we're being sold snake oil by snake salesmen, and somehow they feel that this is their way of changing our DNA, and they want to keep us sick because there is a depopulation agenda at hand.
100%.
Most people, if they've done some conspiracy theory work,
Mm.
they found that there used to exist the Georgia Guidestones, and that was the elite's way of saying we want to depopulate the earth and place the earth at around 500 billion instead,
And,
or
and,
sorry,
and
500 million instead of 8 billion.
definitely,
So
and the Deagle information. And there's a whole
Deagle report.
Yeah, there's a whole range
Yeah.
of information. Sam, and it's clear that their goal has been to lessen the number of people on the planet so that they can enhance their level of control, and
Right.
bring it right back. They were intending it. I don't think that they have succeeded, and their plans haven't gone the way they'd hoped, and that
Right.
are actually making. I feel that we're making good progress in terms of the victory of the light and the alliance and all that sort of thing. I do see a lot of positive things happening, that we are really, really fighting back in a big way. But it's clear what their agenda was.
Yeah. And it's been going on since at least World War One.
Yes.
My when I started researching about my son, how can I reverse autism? How can I stop whatever this is? And a lot of research led me to heavy metals. So I started
Was he
researching heavy
vaccinated?
metals.
I
Pardon?
have to use a different word. Was he in the arm? Because that is a major cause, as we know, of ADHD and autism and things like that.
Yeah, most shots are in the arm, so absolutely, yeah.
And I'm saying, was he, did he have the jab when he was young? Because that's the heavy metals as well.
Yeah, in fact, he had there was one time where he had three in one, the MERS shot, I believe it was, which combined like measles, mumps, and
Yeah.
three or four other things, and he got that all at once. And it wasn't long after that he had a fever seizure, and
And,
he
and,
was
and
like
there's so many parents.
2 years old,
Oh, I know.
fever seizure, and we're like, where did this come from? And the irony, not irony, but the strange thing that the paramedic said, that this is starting to become normal.
Yes, exactly.
We're getting a lot of these lately, and I'm
I
like,
see that
a
now.
fever seizure. When I was growing up, I never had one. None of us ever had one. So you can say it's the shots, or you can say it's geoengineering, or you can say it's a combination of all these things.
Well, they've
So
done studies in Japan where they cut out um the things in the arm, and 96% of the symptoms started to go away, So, and the Amish, when you look at the Amish communities, and they don't have it, and then they don't have ADHD, autism, any of those things. So there's a direct correlation in my mind, with that and all these things that are happening in terms of the illness on the planet, and also the these deaths and SIDS and all that
right.
stuff. Yeah.
Right. And this is pushing towards the fourth industrial revolution. These are the symptoms of what they want us to become. You see, I'm a pastor, and I view things from a biblical lens. And there's a chapter in Daniel where it talks about iron is going to mix with clay.
Mhm.
And iron and clay are going to have problems mixing. Okay. I do believe that for us to go into the fourth industrial revolution, where we have our brains hooked up to computers through Neuralink or wirelessly through some form or fashion, or to have nodes on our brain to connect and search information, that's to have that hive mind capacity. You're going to have to, our brains and our bodies are going to have to adapt to heavy metals and silicon, which we're not. Our bodies are having problems. And while I was researching the fourth industrial revolution and how it's polluted our bodies, I noticed that the Rockefeller camp came up with a new form of medicine through crude oil or petroleum.
Yeah.
And in the 20s, they found out that they could pull synthetics out of crude oil and use that as medicine and say, here, take this.
And
And nobody
simultaneously
knew the better.
simultaneously shut down the whole alternative medicine field as well.
Right.
So
They
that
bought all of the
homeopathy,
alternative medicine companies,
yes,
flushed them out,
yeah.
bought all of the medicine companies that did it
There's
from
no,
natural plants, flushed them out,
yeah,
and then wrote the actual food chart of what we should be eating. And it was completely upside down.
that's right. That's right. Yes,
And
they've done
yeah,
everything inverted. So all the information they've given is the inversion of the truth. So it's the
right.
complete opposite of what we should be doing. We're talking here about salt levels. We're talking about cholesterol. What that means, you need to have healthy cholesterols in order for your brain to function properly. You need to have a lot of salt in order for your body to function properly. All those things they told us not to have.
Yeah, cut out
Yeah.
salt, cut out butter, then they replace it with margarine, which is one molecule away from being plastic.
And ants won't eat it either because it's
Right.
so
They
bad.
nothing will. You know.
So
And I
James,
heard that Napoleon actually used margarine back during the Napoleonic Wars, and that was a way of feed their soldiers. But that had the opposite effect. It actually harmed them more than it did good, you know, just to save money. Stomach biome is the key to understanding autistic brains.
right,
That and when and we there was never any cases of autism before 1920.
yeah,
None. Now they say, well, we had one in 1750, 75 or whatever, and then one in 1713. Okay, fine. But if you really do the research on autism, here's where I found some horrifying information. I forgot the name of the guy, but he is the founder of autism. And if you research who the founder is and what he did, he was researching syphilis and researching how syphilis is affects women who are pregnant and how it affects the children. And if you go to the wiki page of the founder of autism, and this is right during World War II, this guy took 100 German scientists from Germany and smuggled them into America in order to work on autism and syphilis.
the name of
And
the guy is Eugene Bleuler.
right,
Eugene Bleuler.
right. And so this guy back in the 20s was trying to create a super soldier.
Mm.
And they were using syphilis as some sort of gene or DNA factor in order to increase the brain activity or make them smarter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what ended up happening was they were successful in creating what would be considered a savant.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yes,
these
because that's interesting because autism people, they have that level of genius often in some particular area, don't they? You see
right.
that. So that's fascinating. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have the transistor. And then we have fiber optics. Then we have computers. Then we have just an amazing amount of technology that we wouldn't have even could have fathomed during World War II. And so there's a connection between Project Paperclip. There's a connection to Eugene and his work on autism and syphilis. And there's a connection to the stomach biome, which I found that the plastics that we've been eating, right? It's in your aspirin. It's in everything. Plastics, it's everywhere. We eat the equivalent of a credit card of plastic every year.
Mm.
So what the plastic does is it turns your stomach biome upside down, the inverted thing, what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And that is one of the problems of autism because they cannot process and kill the parasites. And it also cannot bind and remove the heavy metals because the stomach biome is upside down. The bad bacteria is in full motion and the good bacteria has depleted.
Yes.
So the good bacteria cannot kill the parasites.
Mm.
Now, the heavy metals, they cut little pieces into the small veins. And this is what, in my opinion, causes cancer. These microscopic, tiny nanoparasites get into our bloodstream and they find a place as a host. And then they start eating the cells and creating children and eating the cells and form what they call a bacteria area. This is the simple cause of cancer.
Yeah.
And I've done research on it. I've seen doctors who came out about it. There was doctors in Switzerland who came up with the research back in the
Lee Merritt.
1930s.
Dr. Lee Merritt, she talked about it. She said that there was the direct correlation between parasites and all that sort of, cancer and all that sort of thing.
Right. So if it's parasites and heavy metals, and if it's plastics, then I just said, well, who has anything out there that can just in one shot take it? And there was none because they're selling one or the other, but not both.
So that they work on all these three things simultaneously. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what I did was all of the ingredients in both of these, one is called nickel nixer elixir and the other is whimsy wormwash. We took the 1920s theme for the company to basically go back before the Rockefellers took over medicine and change our stomachs back before crude oil started messing with it.
Wow.
And what I did was I researched the binders that bind to heavy metals, the roots, the algae, the types of even chuga mushrooms to carrot powder to all kinds of different organic formulas that can be combined into one that bind to heavy metals and kill the parasite debris. And I got a hold of, I don't know how I did it because now you have to pay, you have to be right now in order to get a hold of artificial intelligent medical program, you have to be schooling in it. But 2 years ago, you didn't have to have a ID that you're going to school to become a doctor to get in this medical program. But anyway, I put all of the ingredients into it that I could find that kill everything, and I asked the AI to come up with a formula that binds to the heavy metals and especially the ones in the brain that can get to the real fine, small, little tiny veins,
That's
and it
amazing.
spit out.
Amazing.
Pardon?
It's amazing what you're doing. Amazing. But can I just ask a quick question? Because
Please.
I know that with I Ivect, how do you say ivermectin? It
Ivermectin.
that it also works on getting rid of parasites. However, there is a site on Telegram where this guy has some amazing information, and he says that ivermectin is created by big pharma. And so whenever you have something that's created by big pharma, it's a worry, and everyone's pushing this now. But if it's being created by big pharma, it's obviously going to have ingredients in there that aren't going to serve our highest good, because we know that they've been a sickness industry, not a health industry. So
Right.
so the alternative of this product is a little bit dubious, I think, now with that information coming out. So this is an alternative to that has 100% no affiliation, obviously, with big pharma or anything like that.
So my son was beating his head, hitting his head against walls, floors, you name it, has had at least 12 concussions.
Oh, that is
We have to do an MRI every year just to find out how his brain is doing because he doesn't walk as normal as he used to. He has problems with walking because he's hit his head so many times. And the first week we started giving him this, he stopped hitting and immediately grabbed a pencil and started drawing on a piece of paper.
oh,
He
that's
hasn't
brilliant.
hasn't done that in years.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And how long's he been taking it now, and how is he going now?
He's been taking it for about 8 months, and we have tried to find out if that's really what it is because we don't know. And when we took it off of it, he stopped playing. He stopped playing with Legos. Wasn't interested. All he cared about was beating his head. And then we put him back on, and then he immediately went back to playing with Legos and doing what a typical kid would do. Now, of course, he's 17, nonverbal. He doesn't have a huge vocabulary, only 20 to 30 words via sign language. So that is one success story, in my opinion. The other is Meghan Walsh, who is a celebrity. Her father is John Walsh, the creator of America's Most Wanted. And Meghan had a carcinoma, cancer on her nose.
Yes.
And 26 days ago, she started taking it. And the difference between then and now is absolutely striking. And I have a picture of before and after yesterday and today. I'd like to share if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Let
Yeah.
me just share my desktop here, and I'm going to pull this picture up. I don't know if you can tell,
Wow.
but that was at its worst, and this is where it is now. And it is
Better.
mind-boggling.
Mm,
Mind-boggling.
wow. Wow.
And
That must be,
she is feeling so much better. In fact, when I first started working with her, because she did something that nobody has done at all. What she has done has been an actual stop share. Here we go. Okay. She went up against Child Protective Services in America.
mm,
When she approached this information to her father, that's when they turned on her and she lost her house, lost her kids, especially she just had a newborn baby and they took that baby as well.
oh,
Took her to court, sued her. The court sided in the father's favor, and the father is now raising her own kids. And so, on top of all of that, she gets cancer on her nose, and it's like she was cursed, all for going up against the actual system itself. And so, when I got a hold of her, I prayed over her. I told her I don't want anything from her. I just want her to be happy. And I said, I'll try to, find a job for you within my company. And that's really what we're doing right now is we're trying to support Meghan Walsh and her getting her kids back. One, giving her a stable job, and two, getting her children back, and three, exposing the bad guys, the ones that are using CPS for profit and for
just our prayers and thoughts go out to her. If everyone wants to send her a prayer, that would be amazing that's watching. Um, and we do know also that frequency weaponry can create things like, cancers and things like that. So obviously
Mhm.
that's been potentially a factor in what's happened with her. So it's wonderful what you've been doing for her, James, and that this product is having such an incredible result. So if you could share with us, you created this product and you want to just basically share it with people and get it out there in a big way because you've invested a lot into this, but because of the sort of current climate in business, it's very
Mhm.
challenging to have a successful business at the moment, and so you really do need people to buy this product so that you can continue with it and to keep it going. And we don't want this product to go away because it has such an incredible um, impact on people. So an average person who doesn't have any issues, for example, would also be greatly benefited, I imagine, by having this as well, because it's going to be supporting your biodome, um, and every person on the planet probably needs help with that right now.
Every United Nations country signed up for geoengineering. They all signed up for it. In fact, back in 1992 or 1991, 92, there was a summit called Rio in Europe where they discussed basically spraying heavy particulates into the air to block the sun. And they called it for global warming at that time. And all the United Nations, 195 of them, signed up, and they all decided to spray their own countries. And then it came into effect in 1995. That's when they started the heavy metal spraying campaign. So they've been doing this for what, 25, 30 years now? And
Can I say too, James,
please.
a fascinating coincidence because we know a wonderful aircraft engineer, and he had, I don't think he had any knowledge of what's been going on. He said, I said, have you heard about the, geoengineering, what they're putting in the planes? And it's, now they're saying it's in the jet fuel. And he said,
Mhm.
I'm not aware of that. We didn't have it in our planes that I'm aware of. And all the planes that he worked with, whatever it was, I think it was Qantas, but yeah, he wasn't aware of it at all. So there is still a level of people not even knowing that this is happening, and he was in the industry.
Well, people have to understand that there is something that exists outside of our material view, a spiritual world that we don't understand, that we get glimpses of through miracles and blessings, but we don't have a full grasp as to what it is and what it wants. Whatever it is, whatever religion you have. And I love all religions. I'm not a turn or burn kind of pastor trying to change people towards mine. I just care about people, and I just want them to be happy, and I want them to experience love from me because my Bible says to love your neighbor. And so I'm trying everything I can to love my neighbor. And yes, this spiritual warfare has been going on in this world. Some people call it karma. Some people call it yin and yang, good and bad. And it is a real force, and I've seen it. I've talked to it. I have spoken to angels and demons just through my own ministry. And you can't wake me up from that, but I can tell people that there is some form of energy that feeds off of our negativity, and they want to keep us negative. And there are real black magicians. Okay, we're talking black mass magicians who are warlocks, witches, who cast spells and do rituals on people to keep them from learning any of the truth. And so,
Panic occult.
yeah,
Mm, mm.
yeah, I mean, people say, oh, spells, come on. It's like, I'm telling you, man, there are real spells. Just like a magician can fool you into sawing a person in half. Same thing with these spells can get people to focus on certain things or not focus on certain things that's harming them. And so I can't do anything about the spellcasters. I can't stop them from getting together and performing their satanic ritual abuse to keep control of the dynasties in play. But what I can control is helping people by getting rid of the fourth industrial revolution. And unfortunately, the only thing that's going to save them in this world going forward is they have to take this on a regular basis. And yes, it is very expensive to start a company. I invested 20 grand into it of my own money, and I have not seen a dime at all out of it. I haven't taken any money out of it. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get enough so we can buy the next batch. Like I was saying, the batches, we have about 200 left. If we can sell those, I can order another batch and keep the thing going. I'm not taking a dime out of this. I'm not interested in the profit of that. My Bible says Paul was a tent maker. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. He didn't ask for any tithes. So I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking people if they want to get healthy, because $150, this is how much it costs to have both of these shipped to your house. And we provide the shipping unless it's international. We have to charge that because it's like $60. But $150 and you get healthy. Imagine how much you're saving if you get cancer and have to sell your home. This is like an insurance policy for you to live your longest life ever.
So,
And
James,
unfortunately, we all have to now start taking these ingredients. And you know what? I don't care if you buy it and reverse engineer it and actually make your own, because if that means it's working and it means that it will heal people. If all I'm trying to do is just keep it going and then bring Meghan on and have Meghan run this thing, because she is going to be our, I believe, our mascot for this whole thing, because her nose is beautiful. It's healing fast. And she is just, you can go to her TikTok. It's at Meghan Walsh underscore, at Meghan Walsh underscore. That's also her X, at Meghan Walsh underscore. And just look at the daily differences between when she started and up until now. And honestly, I just want to support her, and hopefully she can start working for us full time, but I can't do it unless we, get the company up. And we're only selling probably 1 to 2 a week. So
wow.
we're
So
not selling a
everyone
lot.
listening, why doesn't everyone who's watching buy this? I'm going to get some myself as well. And so the thing is, I want to just recap really clearly for the audience, James, what it's doing. So it's working on getting rid of parasites. It's
Mhm.
working on putting the perfect environment for the gut bacteria back
Mhm.
into the biodome, and it's detoxing from the heavy metals. So can you just run through exactly all the things again, just to really emphasize to people exactly how amazing this product is?
So not only does it get rid of the parasites, and we're not talking about a selling technique where people show you worms, visible worms. These aren't the parasites we're talking about here. I'm talking about the microscopic, tiny little parasites that are unseen, the little tiny amoebas that that break through a cell and eat everything inside of it and then move on to the next. Now, our stomach acids used to kill all of these parasites. But since our stomach biome's turned upside down, our stomach acid does not kill them. In fact, you don't have much of stomach acid. And this is why people have heartburn. Nobody had heartburn before 1920. It wasn't a thing. Go look it up, go search it. Nobody had heartburn. But all of a sudden, this became a thing in the third industrial revolution. And it's because of heavy metals, and it's because of the plastics that we're consuming on a daily basis without even knowing it. Now, of all of the things that I've done research on as far as putting this together, I knew that if I had the right ingredients, it couldn't be anywhere near America, because America's soil is saturated with glyphosate, and glyphosate kills selenium. And selenium has to be inside nutrients when you pull this out, because selenium is one of the most pieces of information that the body needs in order for the cells to stay healthy and to block out the parasites. So what I did was I put this together, and I used barley grass, beetroot, turmeric, fermented turmeric, an NAC, or N-acetylcysteine, which is a binding agent, and lipoic or alpha lipoic acid. And I've also done enough. Let me just pull up the ingredients here. And I also added in vitamins inside of it, because a lot of people, when they do detoxes, they get the detox headache from heavy metals. Believe it or not, when you take heavy metals out of your brain, you get a headache, because for some reason it doesn't know how to operate without the heavy metals. So when you detox, we put vitamin C and vitamin D3 in it in order to keep your body at least a little bit, rejuvenated as you're doing that. And we also bring in copper and sodium, biloba powder, turmeric, chlorella, which is really a key ingredient. It's whole algae. And we
Yes.
put 120 milligrams of whole algae, because believe it or not, algae also is a really great cancer killer. No
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and cinnamon powder, which is the same, and we use it cinnamon bark powder, and then ginger root. We have 100 milligrams of that. Milk thistle extract, uh, beetroot, spirulina, and of course vitamin C and D. And The reason why all of these things work is because they're grown in soil in South America. And South America is not glyphosated. It's which is a byproduct of the Agent
Roundup
Orange. Right.
and all the pesticides. Yes.
Right. That is Agent Orange that was spread on in Vietnam, and they
Yes.
decided to take that and spray it on our plants to kill weeds. And yeah.
And it's in all
So
the bread. Like, they've tested levels in the bread and it's really, really high in all the bread, like 98% of the bread in America and things like that.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And so we get the roots, the seeds, the bark, the plants itself straight from South America. And unfortunately, because of the tariffs, um, we have to pay more, right? Because America puts tariffs on other countries. Therefore, any of that stuff that comes in, I have to pay more out of my pocket. So
So
it
would it
looks
just
like,
gone up recently with the
right.
tariffs?
Yeah, so everything went up. So basically, what would cost me, it basically doubled in price. But
Wow.
I'm trying to keep the price the same in order to keep the company going, because already I'm hearing a lot of people saying it's just too much money, or I only want to buy one. But I have to tell you, in all honesty, you can't just buy one and neglect the other. They work together, period. If you just remove the heavy metals but don't focus on the parasites, you're not changing the stomach biome. In order to change the stomach biome to go back to where it was before the 1920s, you've got to take both products.
And you've
And
got to
I
continually take them too. If you just take one off, for example, both of them, it will just perhaps go back to what it was. Is that correct?
if if
Potentially.
you take one, let's just say you take the Whimsy worm wash,
Yeah.
you're going to kill the parasites, but you're not going to be able to get to the parasites that are in your brain.
Yes, yes, yes. And there's a
The
wonderful Indian person that was talking about health, and they said that if you look under the whites of your eyes, under the color bit in your eyes, under the whites, if you've got red sort of blotches or things underneath, it means you've got parasites in your gut. Above the eye, in the white section, if you have those same wriggly sort of red bits above your eye, it means you've got parasites in your brain. So I thought that was really interesting to
that
know.
is interesting. I haven't heard of that.
Yes, I'll send you the video. It's amazing.
Please.
Your eyes can tell whether you have parasite infestation in your body or not. So if you look at the white part of your eyes, yeah, so the lower part and the upper part you need to see. When you look at the lower part and you see blood vessels like shown in this picture, then you have parasite infestation in the gut area, in the abdominal cavity area. Yeah. If you have the web-like structure, the blood vessels are visible, like in the picture, in the upper part of the white area of your eyes, then there is high probability that you have parasite infestation in the brain area. So these are the signs, and if you see these signs, then you need to go for a deep dive parasite detox, parasite cleansing, and you will see many diseases vanishing from your body.
If you took them both of those together just once, it's not going to probably fix things long term, because the challenge is that with everything around us, your stomach will go back to what it was prior to taking them, unless you're taking them in an ongoing way. Is that correct?
That is correct. Unfortunately, we cannot stop the fourth industrial revolution. You can't, because that's like trying to get the president to do something you want him to do. You can't start at the top and work your way down. So we have to adjust to what they're doing to us in this time period. And unfortunately, and I wish I could have came up with this product sooner, but this is something that we have to do every year. And in my opinion, at least 3 months in a year, at least.
Yes.
And give your body a month to adjust. But by the time you adjust after you detox, it's all coming back in. We're breathing the heavy metals and we're eating the parasites. Parasites are in vegetables, are in meat. It's everywhere.
yeah, sure.
There's no way you can get out of it. And once you finally get your stomach to the right, pH level,
Yeah,
for lack of a better word,
yes.
then you'll be feeling great and you'll think, well, I don't need these anymore, you know? But to be honest, all those parasites and heavy metals that you're breathing in, they're starting to get back into your system and they're allowing those parasites in and they're just going to continue to bombard you. And then after 2 or 3 months, you're going to start to feel like you did before you took it. Now, when I started taking it myself, I noticed that my energy went through the roof because I'm 51 years old and I felt like I was 30 again.
You
And
don't
when
look
I
it.
used to mow the thanks, when I used to mow the lawn in the back, I couldn't get to the back lawn because I was too tired. I had to wait till the next day to do the lawn. And then after I mowed the back lawn, I'm like, well, what else can I do? I just felt like there was just more things I could
No.
have done.
Yes.
And, I also noticed that when I go to the gold mine, that's a lot of hard work when you're digging and looking for gold. There's equipment involved, there's a lot of work. And I found that I could, dig and dig for more hours, double the hours than I could in the past. And the reason being is because it's the heavy metals that aren't in my body. The
Right.
heavy metals are what drags us down, and the heavy metals are what they use in order to pull information from us. They're like a natural antenna that they use to add their nanobots and do their experiment on, CBDC. Uh, what do you call that? Bill Gates's new product of
Yes, the nano network thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that, if I eat a cheeseburger, then I'm hurting my body, they will ding me carbon credits. So,
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
right, they're working on making sure that they have enough nanotechnology in us that they can track us without our cell phones anymore. And they're almost there. They're almost there.
So I just wanted to ask with the bottles, how long does that last for? Like a bottle, if you bought two bottles, do they last like a month each?
Yeah,
Or
they're both are a month. In each bottle there are 60 pills. So every day you have to take four.
right.
And
Okay.
unfortunately, I can't make them any smaller. There it is a lot, and that's unfortunately that's the blowback of us being lazy and tired and not interested in keeping ourselves healthy anymore because we got used to fast food, fast pace, in and out, and none of that is good for the body. And so, when you get really, really sick and you go to the hospital, they pump lots of nutrients into you, right? This is pumping all those nutrients back that your body has been needing that's been depleted. And it also kills the stuff that causes, I believe, cancer. And so, yeah, we have to take this stuff for the rest of our lives unless you move to another planet or move out of a United Nations country. But believe me, there's only what, three that aren't part of the UN?
Yes, yes. Oh gosh, amazing. Well, we all know, if you've been reading information, if you've been keeping your finger on the pulse of, what's going on in the world, that we all need to be incredibly mindful of our health at the moment and we need to detox. And ivermectin, as I mentioned, is one way that people are becoming aware of that you can get rid of the parasites. But again, as I said earlier, there's a complication that is created also by Big Pharma. We don't want to do things that support Big Pharma because it's an industry that is not serving our highest good. So I really encourage people to contact you in the description below and order their products. And even order in bulk these products so that you have a supply for at least, as you say, 3 months.
Yeah, if you're in Australia, it'll be cheaper to buy it in bulk because you're only paying one shipping fee.
Yes,
Because it cost me $60 just to send one package, but a bigger package, it's because they're very light, is around the same price. So yeah, you would save more by buying a 3 month supply. And honestly, you've got to do a 3 month detox. This isn't a 1 month and done. No, 3 months, then you'll notice the difference. Like with Megan's nose, she was diagnosed with carcinoma cancer. It's malignant. They told her she's going to die in a year. And she's only been on it for a month. And you can see that there's a big difference, but she still needs to be on it for a couple more months, period. And so
Oh,
we're going to make sure that she gets through the whole thing and make sure it doesn't come back.
fantastic. That's brilliant. It is incredible what you've done there, James. And also, I feel like, we can really trust you because, some of these companies that come up with solutions for what's going on in the world, you don't really know who's behind them
Mhm.
or what the agenda is. So it's hard to say. I mean, there was a product recently that was really promoted by Chuck Norris, and it looked like a sort of a healthy thing for your health and everything like that. But we don't really know exactly, the motivation behind it. But
Mhm.
obviously with you, and your background and your activism and your knowledge is somebody that we can really sort of trust to create this incredible product that's really going to benefit humanity. And you're not there, as you said, for the profits, which would be only fair if you made some anyway, but you're there basically to support not only your son and Megan, but other people out in the world that are having all these awful effects from the toxicity in our environment. So, we desperately need these solutions, and you've done that. So my hat goes off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you mentioned the word trust.
Mm.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you guys to trust me. I'm just a hick from Oregon. Okay, but I can tell you this: the people that you trust, they will show fruit. Don't look at my words. Look at the action. Look at Megan. You can email her if you want. You can email her megan@elitepotion.com, and she'd be happy to answer your questions. Look at her fruits. That's it. Don't judge me based on what I say or what gimmick it is, because it's not a gimmick. It's for my son, and it's also for me. I wanted something for me, and then I decided to just bite the bullet and invest all of my savings into starting an actual product that we can ship to other people and help them. But as a rule of thumb, and I want you guys to really remember this, and this is all about the trust word. Anybody that has 1 million followers, 1 million, okay, that's where you need to raise your eyebrow.
Mm.
When one person has 1 million people that will listen to them, whatever they say, the NSA will knock on their door.
Mm.
Absolutely 100%. And they are going to talk to them about national security and words they can say and words they cannot say, things that they can say, things that they cannot say, and books they can read out loud and books they cannot read out loud. Because this whole control grid is all about keeping that money flow going. And
Yeah.
they don't want us to compete against them. Okay. So that's why I said I'm not interested in money here. I already have another company that does really well. God takes great care of me there. But if this company is going to continue, I can't do it without sales. And I'm in the position right now where I need 45 sales by what is it? By tomorrow.
Wow.
45 sales by tomorrow. And if I don't get that, then I got to pull more money out of my own pocket and keep the company going. But
Wow.
I'm willing to do that because I believe in the product. But, to buy one batch, I have to buy 500 units.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where my problem is. Now, if I could just buy 100 units at a time, anytime I wanted, no problem. I can sell, as many units as I need to do that. But when it comes to 500 units, dude, the first batch I bought was 288 units. Now we're down to 200 and we don't have really any money in the bank.
Yeah.
So it's like,
We don't.
how
Yeah.
am I gonna, keep the money coming in? And with that, because we also, we needed to advertise.
Yeah.
So we hired a company in Canada, and we're spending $1,600 a month for them to run Facebook ads and generate leads. And we're doing a giveaway on that company. We're giving away a free bottle, two for, both heavy metal and parasite cleanse. But that's an investment. I got to pay $1,500 $1,600 a month for them to raise brand awareness, to generate leads. And that's, again, coming out of my pocket. So yeah, prayers are needed. And if you guys feel that this is something for you, just try it. I guarantee that every single person that has tried this has absolutely adored it. And the reorders are coming back and coming back.
Fantastic.
And
You just want to get to that level where you're right, and then you can just go forward. So you are close to a point where I'm hoping that you won't have to shut the company down, because it's such an amazing product. So everyone that's listening, buy a couple of bottles at least. Try it, see how you feel, and then please share with all your friends and family. We do need these things on the planet now, and we can't afford for them to disappear. So is there any, I'd love to have you back, actually, because you've got so much wonderful information, James, but is there anything that you'd like to finish with that you think is really important to share today with the Arise Humanity audience?
Thank you. I really appreciate that question. Yeah. I want your audience to know that they matter. I want your audience to know that they are perfect, regardless of their flaws. I want their audience to know that just me, as a real human being, actually care about them and care about their needs and their wants. And it's not because I have a religion and a belief system. It's really because I'm happier knowing I can help people. I'm happier when I help people. Okay. I've learned throughout my journey into trying to find God, I came to a burning bush moment where you can't wake me up. But one thing that's really clear, and it's not about preaching and telling you which God to choose. You all matter. You all are loved beyond measure. And religion has completely turned everyone upside down and against each other. And I just want you all to know that that is not the intention of any creator. I would like you to just think about this. Compare your standards of love to your own children to the standards of love that a creator has for his. If you love your children more than that creator, then something's wrong. So I say, don't think that you are worthless. Don't let go. Keep going. We love you. And when I say we, I mean everybody who supports me, everybody who supports your channel. We all love you. And just know that everything's going to be okay. And one last thing. If you have food in your belly today, if you have clothes on your back, if you have a roof over your head, why is that going to just stop now? Why now? Of all things, if you've been taken care of all the way up until now, and sure, it's been tough. Believe me, I'm going through a hard time with my son right now. But why would a creator let go now if they've taken care of you all the way up until now?
Absolutely.
I just want to give people hope. That's all.
That's beautiful, James. So well said.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's people listening that's really touched their heart. So thank you. Thank you. I would love to put your son in my light worker team. I have a beautiful light worker team that send distant healing, remote healing. So if you could send me your son's full name, photo, and your location, I'll put him in the
Thank
light
you.
worker team, James, for him. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
That's wonderful. I think that's a beautiful thing you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's so wonderful to chat with you. And
Same.
I am so thrilled that you've come up with this incredible solution for people's health. And I would love to know that my audience, so comment below in the comments below if you're inspired by this product and you're going to support it, please make a comment or even just contact James and see if you can support him in some way as well. Maybe there's some amazing sponsors or patrons out there that might want to support what you're doing. That would be incredible as well. So any way that you can support James with this product will be brilliant. And
just go to jamescarner.com. That's it. It's just
jamescarner.com.
jamescarner.com. That's my name.com. Elite Potions there, my show's there, everything about me and what I'm trying to achieve is all there.
Fantastic. That's so good. Thank you, James. It was so wonderful to chat with you. I'd love to do it again soon. And please keep me posted how it's all going as well.
Thank you as well. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait for our next show.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. James has the most incredible product to help with detoxification, with also helping the biodome to come back into perfect balance. So please share with us, James, what your product's called and what it does.
My product is called Elite Potion. We called it Elite Potion because it's a stab at the elites, okay? They're taking this product by themselves to stop the conditions of the fourth industrial revolution. I found out that in the 1920s, Rockefeller started feeding us crude oil. That is medicine, crude oil. And it turns your stomach biome upside down. And therefore, your stomach now is producing a different type of acid. This is why people are getting heartburn. This is why people are getting IBS, all kinds of problems that never existed before we started eating plastic. So I did some research and found out that not only that, but there are things that the stomach is allowing through the bloodstream. And one just so happens to be heavy metals. And these little heavy metals, they're tiny. And if you look at like mercury, you see it looks like a liquid, but if you look at really, really fine, they're little tiny, tiny little pieces of metal, and they cut your vessels inside your stomach. And I also researched that there are parasites that we normally eat through salads, through meats, through all kinds of diets. We eat equivalent of millions, if not billions, of parasites on a daily basis. And our stomachs used to be able to kill the parasites and move through. We would actually eat the nutrients from the parasites itself. So what happened was our stomachs went upside down. They allowed the heavy metals through to start cutting the little veins in our stomachs, and the parasites are getting through. And this is what I do believe is causing some of the most worst diseases of the 20th century, 21st century. And so when I started giving this product to people, and when I came up with it and I invested my own money into it, people started to change. They started to be happier, started getting healthy. There's a guy who lives next to me. I gave him the product, and he had stage 4 cancer and terminal, and now he's up and running, and now he's getting ready to go mountain biking. In America, it was different than Australia. You guys got hit harder. They actually started putting you people in camps.
Yeah,
and that is absolutely insane.
We had the longest lockdown in the world where I was at the time in Victoria, Melbourne, and very much a complacent sort of society, Australia. And I'm wondering if it's the levels of fluoride or what it was, but people were not standing up in the way they do in other countries, you know. Yeah, it was very, very concerning, obviously. But anyway.
Well, now they have the data as to what to expect in every country when they decide, if they decide or try to take it over, bring in a dictator. But in all honesty, I don't think they can release another COVID like they did. Now, if you look at the past, they did it once with the Spanish flu, and they blamed Right, and they blamed it on antennas. Oh, this is from, you know, the waves, radioactive waves, et cetera, and to move it off of what it was really from. And they couldn't. I don't think that they can do that for another 100 years. So I'm not looking, I don't think another pandemic's coming. So I'm not worried about that, or masking up, or, social distancing, which they did 100 years ago. And it's eerily similar to the Spanish flu, what we went through, except it wasn't fully worldwide. It was only, I believe, in Europe and in America.
You just reminded me, I had a dream last night where people were wearing masks. And I was saying, I'm not going to wear one. No way. That was my
Yeah.
dream last night. How fascinating.
Yeah. I was where it was like 1997 when I learned that Norton antivirus and McAfee and all of them, they create viruses to keep them selling their antiviruses.
Right.
And that's when I'm like, oh my God, the whole world is a scam.
Mhm.
Because it really is. And because I knew a programmer, I still go golfing with him every weekend. I knew a programmer that worked for Norton Antivirus, and he was telling me how it was his job to create new viruses. And I'm like, that is so horrible. He's like, no, this is life. This is a company. They make something that breaks, so you have to continue to buy it.
Well, I can tell you, we've got the exact same experience here. We were just talking to caravan repairers last night. We bought this caravan, it's a few years old, but it's a caravan that keeps breaking down all the time. Things go wrong with it here, there, everywhere, just constantly things are breaking in the caravan. We spoke to a caravan repairer yesterday, and she said all the really older caravans, they lasted, but the
Hmm.
ones built within a few years back to now, they're all built to break, so that you're constantly having to buy things to repair.
Yeah.
Our hot water system just broke. We have to get that all fixed. Everything's breaking in all the time in the caravan because things are made that way with the intention of making more profits.
Right.
So,
Just like when Apple got sued for slowing their iPhones down so you'd buy a new iPhone.
yes, yes,
And then that's just a software trick.
yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it's a crazy, crazy world.
It is. It is a crazy world, but
Yeah,
I'm meeting great people in this crazy world, wonderful people with big hearts.
yeah,
And it's a
absolutely.
pleasure that meeting you. God bless you for all you're doing. We may not have the same belief system, but we have the same heart and for humanity. And
Absolutely.
isn't that what matters?
Totally. And all you said about, loving everyone like our family, part of us, that's how I feel about people. Every single person, doesn't matter where they come from, what they look like, whatever.
Hmm.
They're the same as me and they're my family because we're alive and we're living and we're breathing and we're all the
Right.
same. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's all that's gonna, I just, smiles are the only thing that's going to keep us going. So we got to continue smiling and let people know that, because they're in your presence, they matter.
Absolutely.
They matter, matter, matter. And I've always had that way with people because it's always been genuine. And if you genuinely do really care about people, it really shows. And if you can get a person to just have a better day than what they were having, then that's better than gold. That's
Mm.
better than jewelry. That's better than money. That's better than paying off their house,
It's a gift to
in
you
in my
to be able
opinion.
to help. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
just such a beautiful thing for your soul. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.